If you're using Notion to also manage your client work, it has most likely crossed your mind that you need a system to track the time spent on billable projects and tasks. Notion databases allow for building advanced custom tools, so you could just build your own time tracking system with it. But why reinvent the wheel? It is always better to integrate with a tool which already has all required features and is built for that exact purpose. In that case, Clockify is a great choice. First of all, you can use it completely for free like Notion. It has a great API and a native integration with N8N. You can integrate it with Google and Outlook Calendar and thus book time on events with a click. You can generate reports with ease, and if you want, even generate proper invoices with this tool. They also claim to have an integration with Notion, but let me break it to you, it's not so great. Not that it's just a Chrome extension, so it does not work with the native Notion app, but it also does not offer any possibilities to link time entries directly to clients, projects, or tasks. You would still need to enter and update this data manually. So what's missing here is a proper synchronization, and that's where N8N comes in. This is a workflow which synchronizes active clients as well as related projects and tasks to Clockify. To keep it clean, archived and completed entries are also archived in Clockify. For demonstration purposes, I've set up this simple database structure in Notion. It is also available as a template, by the way. As you can see here, the different entities are linked to each other. Then there is a checkbox to mark clients as archived, as well as status properties for both projects and tasks. To keep the synced items in Clockify linked to these entries, the ID from Clockify is stored in a separate field per entry. Also, to increase efficiency during API calls, rollup fields are used to get the stored Clockify ID of its parent. Now what this workflow does is comparing the datasets on both sides and pushing the changes to Clockify. This happens in hierarchy, beginning with the clients, then projects, and finally tasks. The merge nodes are required to guarantee a sequential processing, since the compared datasets nodes here tend to work asynchronously despite the position of the nodes on the canvas. You know, nodes are usually processed from left to right and top to bottom. It's almost the same process for all three entities. So let's take a closer look at the projects sync. For efficiency reasons, only active items are retrieved from both sides first. In this case, projects are filtered by status, excluding the values done and obsolete. One specialty here, only projects are fetched which are not linked to a client. This makes it possible to also work with non-billable internal projects in Notion without having to sync them over to Clockify. Speaking of which, on the other end, it's just this parameter which needs to be unset to exclude archived items. The datasets are then compared by the Clockify ID. Now, there are a few scenarios. If a project has been created in Notion, of course it needs to be created in Clockify, followed by storing its ID in Notion for the next sync. In case an error happens, the entry is removed from Clockify again to prohibit endless loops which could flood the target with countless duplicates. In case the project was already synced and closed, but got reopened, it just gets updated in Clockify using the previously stored ID in Notion. And if an active project could only be found in Clockify, meaning that it has been closed in Notion, it also needs to be archived in Clockify while updating its name, since it could have changed since the last time. The entire workflow is being triggered on a schedule once a day by default, and can also be triggered using a button in Notion with the help of a webhook. This allows for a quick update after changes have been made. In case this is not sufficient for you, you could of course also set up Notion webhooks which would trigger immediately after a change has been made in Notion. Just be careful about overlapping triggers. I recommend using at least this workflow to prevent that from happening. It uses Redis to prevent simultaneous workflow executions. With having the automation set up, you can now easily track your time and have it connected to the right context. There are multiple ways to do so, using the quick capture where you can select a specific task or even the project itself and start the timer, or by switching here, enter timestamps manually. Another way is using the timesheets, where you can enter a duration per day, per project or task. Or if you are using Notion in the browser, you can also use the Chrome extension, since you now have all the data synced, which makes this plugin actually usable, if there just wasn't this UI bug. But maybe this is already resolved when you're watching this. A quick tip, you can add a Notion formula which can act as a button to open a report view of the captured time logs in Clockify, filtered by the selected project. I recommend using a tag named invoiced or similar to mark already invoiced entries. It makes it way easier to determine which entries are still open. It is also useful to exclude this from the filtered report view. By the way, if you're looking for a reliable backup solution for your Clockify workspace, you might also want to check out this workflow. Using GitHub, it creates a daily snapshot based on monthly reports. As always, you can find a link to all templates in the description down below. For setup, just follow the instructions provided within the sticky notes. And if you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.